CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode.
I met some people from the Calazar forces from CalazCon, and I think they noticed me. I did a really good job. It was my first time piloting this mech, and this mech cat, it has kitty ears, and it can transform into this kind of dog thing, I guess. You would love it so much.
Actually, where does any of your shit go when you're a dog?
You can transform into things?
Well, it's a lot of it is sludge based, but I'm working on bigger shit.
Sure, there's this idea, I don't know if you ever heard of it, it's called investment, and it's when you kind of put something in and then you get a delayed larger payment at the end of it.
And so what if, we could, turn floor to goop and just fall through the floor?
I've written down here, kick Logan suddenly out of our squad. How many ticks would that be? Listen, I'm gunning for that spot. I'm gonna be squad commander by the end of this this campaign. Let's say kick Logan suddenly to the curb instead of off the squad. That's more fun. The thing that I talked about before the session, and we might need to put an extra trigger warning in either here to discuss workplace harassment, or that might need to go in the program notes. I'm not sure. I would like to have a conversation, and I've already checked in with Romina about doing this, but a conversation about the ways in which Logan suddenly is pretty lecherous towards Tansy. Yeah, I would like to have a conversation about the deeply unprofessional and incredibly creepy nature of that. This squad is very jokey. We are not wanting to play this as a joke about workplace harassment. This is a serious conversation. I just think it's good to put that up top. So yeah, I would like to speak with Tansy about noticing that, checking in that she is doing okay, and letting her know that Verbal has her back if that needs to be escalated to complaints, which it should be, because people need to be called on their shit ASAP rather than waiting until something worse happens. So yeah, that was my plan for the scene, is to have a conversation with Tansy about hey, I've noticed that our commanding officer is checking you out pretty much nonstop whenever the two of you are in a same room. That seems deeply uncomfortable for you. And do you want to talk about it? Do you need support? And do you need me to provide any kind of, I don't know, potentially, I don't know if we have an HR department, but I know. Verbal as a bureaucrat knows.
Do we have a HR department?
I mean, I think that probably, but in the way that HR departments are meant to protect the company and not necessarily protect the people,
Yes. But yeah, that's the conversation. And I don't know if we want to play that conversation out, but it's Verbal making it known to Tansy, hey, I see this, and I want to know what kind of support you need, and for you to know that I have your back if you want to take it further, make a complaint, anything like that.
Yeah, I think Verbal picked up on the fact that, because Verbal was the first person that Tansy was introduced to, and Tansy was highly uncomfortable. I think it was pretty apparent. She just kind of her voice was pretty clipped, and she didn't say too much, and she was holding a lot of tension. She was just trying to keep it positive. So, which is if somebody's joining a squad and then they're being sexually harassed, that's probably how they would act, because they don't want to you know, especially if she just got transferred, like she doesn't want to keep bouncing around. Like she wants to actually do something, like, you know, contribute something substantial to the effort. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you're constantly having to like watch your back, like how are you supposed to like actually do your damn job? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then also, like, for listeners, we had this conversation, Hugh and I did, and like earlier I was talking about how Tansy deals with this sort of behavior because of her background in her history as a makeup artist influencer. So, you know, she would have kind of like creepy interactions coming at her either online or like in person pretty frequently, especially like from dudes or like mask leaning people. And like, you know, she's not attracted to men like at all. So her way of like dealing with that is just like keeping at arm's length, like being polite, but like not engaging any more than she has to, because like she also like doesn't want to ruin her reputation, you know. So it's like a fine balance kind of that she's learned to do, and that she's pretty adept at doing, just because like, you know, she's gotten this far.
Totally. And I think verbal could reinforce like when you're at work, you're not streaming and trying to cultivate like an online personality that demands you continue to like placate and please people. Like here it's like no, you get to like stand in the fullness of you and set your boundaries. Yeah, do you want to put that conversation on recording, or do we want to stay with this more abstract?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with it. If it's an issue of like wanting to be sensitive for the audience, maybe, and also the other players.
Okay, yeah. Then let's roll the dice and say like what we're mechanizing is the difficulties of that conversation and the time that Verbal and Tansy are putting in together to discuss like solutions and keeping Tansy safe, and bringing Logan's behavior like forward to the people who need to know. Okay, so that to me sounds like a consort role. Would I be able to take an extra dice from Tansy helping me on this?
Oh yeah, no, I think it makes sense, because I think like what Tansy has just like, this is really helpful to Tansy because she's always just sort of like been on her own in this, and then having someone be like, no, like I want to advocate for you. It's like, oh, well then, yeah, like I want to, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. So yeah, so she would be helping in his goal.
And Verbal is, to be clear, like I think Verbal is kind of like a little bit scummy, but I think does believe in the importance of like cooperation and teamwork, and is not like, I am only using Tansy's discomfort to get where I want to be. It's like, hey, this is bad for like team cohesion and our effectiveness. Like they are also interested in that aspect. So like I don't want to paint them as like this is a completely disingenuous kind of advocation for Tansy either. Oh, it's rough out there. Yeah, damn. Turns out it's really hard to deal with sexual harassment in the workplace, huh? Highest roll was a 3 there. 3, 2, 1. So that feels so like fictionally honest and so depressing for it.
So maybe the end result is that like Tansy appreciates him coming to her about it, but she doesn't want to raise it.
Oh no,
you know?
That's even fucking sadder, that it's not even like you're not heard, it's Tansy's own like self-betrayal. It's like, oh my god, no, Tansy, please. Oh man.
I mean, it's something that could change. Like you could, even if you didn't get to success now, you know. Yes,
yeah. And maybe that leads to framing like maybe future cut looses as well, like with Verbal and Tansy is like, hey, you gotta my belief with Tansy, for the listener, is Tansy needs to find a safer way to grieve. So like Verbal has like a specific like existing rather interest in wanting to help someone process the difficulties that they're facing. So I think that sort of fits with this role as well.
I'm going to say that Logan is going to respond to this in his behavior toward Tansy going forward. He's a bureaucrat. He knows what this means. And
right. He doesn't want to jeopardize his...
Exactly. He doesn't want to get gotten rid of.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. Tansy, what's your next tick on the clock?
My options are long-term project, cut loose, and I think let's get a new quirk.
So do you want to roll on your Pimp Your Ride again?
Sure. This is all still like involving the canon?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily? Okay. Can I say like she's gonna check in with the gun dog to see like if the repair is done, and if so,
I have notated
Yeah.
Spiky Hair as the guy you were working with.
We really gotta start learning people's names.
I mean, I didn't give them a gender. I just said they had spiky hair and they liked peach rings.
This is like the background character who like actually has a different hairstyle and like than the rest of the background characters, and so like stands out in comparison.
Inexplicable fan favorite.
Can we say
Yeah.
Can we just say that they're like a cute butch dyke, which is maybe like why Tansy noticed them over versus
fucking
the
genius.
other? Okay, cool. Maybe is it time to give them a name since we're having more interactions? Okay.
They just got a sexual preference. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. I like them.
Yeah, your parents assigned that one to you before a name always. So
Spiky Hair is elbows deep in your mech.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got? What are you saying when you approach?
Oh, hi there. Working hard, I see. Not too hard, I hope.
She bumps her head. Oh, hi.
Hi. Oh, thank you again so much for working on my mech. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the peach rings. These are awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, anytime. So I was just wondering, like, no rush or anything, but, like, how's it going?
Well, normally we are trying to upgrade for hard points and maneuverability. And when you said you want it cool, that definitely had me stumped. And then I went at some of my designs because, I wanted to be a mech designer.
You did?
Yeah, I get stuck around here doing the impossible for the ungrateful. Half the people around here don't even know my name.
Oh.
But anyway.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm so sorry. What is your name? I don't know if like I ever formally introduced myself to you. Sometimes it slips my mind because all the time I'm just talking to so many people on social media. So I just say my name and I forget to ask the other person's name. I'm so sorry. Really self-absorbed of me.
So now we're going to go to the NPC supporter name. Grab some names.
Show us the names. Grace and Glory immediately jumped out to me.
Grace and Glory is so good. Has anyone else used that one?
I also like Royal Red or Cafe Noir.
I actually personally vote for Cafe Noir.
Okay.
That one just struck
Okay.
me. I like that one a lot.
You get the final decision, Valmina.
All right, let's go with Cafe Noir. Yes.
Striking it from the list. She says, Cafe Noir.
Oh, that's a lovely name.
I don't think anybody outside of HR even knows that.
Oh, well, they're all idiots. I mean, not idiots, but like they should just be a little more personable. It doesn't take a lot of effort to just be kind. That's what I always say.
So yeah, I had to dig deep, and I went and looked at some of my old drawings from back when I enlisted. Check this out. And Cafe goes on to show you some really cool enhancements. Really eye-catching. Definitely a little less battlefield and a little more eye-catching.
Ooh, is it like, I don't know, are they like weapon oriented, or is it like the limbs?
Well, the real question is, we've established that Cafe Noir has a very strong sense of design. You have to roll to decide if this is the design you want.
Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, it's a 3.
It's a 3. All right, one more tick.
So I guess that means I liked it.
Did you like it? I mean, it wasn't a 6. A 6 would have bowled you over.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think I'll just go along with it. Worm and Helter are working on that new cannon that we got, and the plasma cannon. And I was thinking, like, is there a way that we can maybe like incorporate that as well? Like, I love this where it's going, the direction that it's going. You're a really talented designer. But yeah, just a thought.
Listen, I'd love to get my hands on that, but the big brains are all over it right now. So maybe when they're done, I'll get to look at it. What's that other thing you guys brought back?
I'm not too sure. They just told me to get it, so I grabbed it. Seemed important at the time. But I don't really know. It's some sort of communication device. That's pretty obvious, but beyond that, I don't know. Probably have to ask, I think maybe Worm was the one who got the mission, so maybe she knows more. Probably Verbal too, it seems to know everything.
I'd love to get my hands on either one of those. Never really played with off-world stuff. The John Gillian stuff is boring. They only upcycle processes to get more thrust.
Yeah, well, you never know. A conversation or two, maybe someone changes their mind on something, just saying. Yes.
Are you flirting? Well, she's like, well, here's the first conversation. I can't wait for our second one.
Oh. Tansy was talking about, like, she was gonna...
I know.
Okay, but, like, yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Just checking.
I'm just asking for consent first.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Oh, well, yeah, I suppose it is. I like, I'm partial to chocolate, by the way, just in case, you ever want to return a favor. Yeah, she just kind of smiles coyly.
She gives you a fake pouty face. It'd be really awesome if you said you liked coffee.
Well, coffee goes so well with chocolate, though.
Her name's Cafe Noir.
Oh my god.
Are you guys throwing up in your mouths because of how cute this is?
No. I'm gonna be honest. No, because if I don't know if any of you remember, but I believe that an entanglement or issue from our last mission was that someone followed us, and now this like unnamed extra just showed up and is like flirting with our ace and trying to get their hands on technology, and I am personally internally freaking the fuck out.
This is how Verbal deals with romantic advances.
Yeah. Romance,
Wonderful.
the thing where you can't trust a person.
In a mech anime? That is romance.
You wanted Tansy to deal with her grief in a healthy way.
This is
on.
good. Move on, please.
Let's go ahead and veil the rest of this conversation. And, Worm, what's your second downtime activity?
For my second downtime action, I was planning on... I'm torn between... I have 3 things I conceivably want to do, and I only have two more actions, so that's fun. I think more immediate, I may want to heal my harm, which, like, is just a level 1, but, like, it can get bad pretty quick. And especially because I am an AI, and singed circuits basically means everything I do is fucked. One of my contacts I have listed is, my one remaining programmer. Which is just, like, I think it's, like, someone on the project who isn't, like, actually... like the head programmer, just kind of like was there to help make some like basic scripting stuff, she probably knows a bit about how I work, but not enough to make it work, not enough to like fix me, but enough to like, do basic debugging and basic like fixing my shit when I get, say, a singed circuit.
So it sounds like somebody from the Gun Dogs?
I think that's somebody from the Gun Dogs.
What's wrong with their coding skill? My question is, how come they're not primetime?
I think this is I think this might be a junior position. Maybe it's like she specializes in something entirely different and just happens to be like using this as a way to get onto a project that she actually wants to be on.
think you're making Verbal itch again.
I think it basically is just like hacking the intercom and being like, could the one remaining member of Project Worm please come to such and such room? Please come to such and such server room. Thank you very much. And then immediately and then they like walk in and I'm just like, hi, help me.
So let's go ahead and give it a roll.
Oh, I don't think I need to roll. I just remove any level 1 harm. And since I only have a level 1 harm, let's just save us some time.
What do they do?
I think it might just be like basic defragging and like debugging. Just like you know, I got a little bit scrambled. Like maybe like, you know, turning her off a little bit to get the powers like to, because it was singed circuits, right? So like maybe turning Worm off it for like a minute and just letting her reboot to get the power power cycling back where it should be.
And what is your third move, Worm?
For my third move, I think I might forward that long-term project to recover Bo Blue's deleted communications with the person that we're now enemies with, King Rat.
There are... These files were deleted.
Yes.
But redundancy is critical in the mecha world. And so sometimes you can find hard drives that have been erased but haven't been used again.
Right. That's really good. Yeah, and you can get data off of that. It's just kind of hard and might be a little corrupted.
I'm full of it.
Yeah.
I studied 20 years for this GMing position.
I love that. Yeah.
No telling what you're going to get, but you might get something.
Yeah, I think depending on the like intensity of like how many segments I fill here. Okay, I want to narrate based on how many I fill, because if it's low, I have an idea on what it is, you know. I want to try to do study in order to hunt down, like, I'm trying to think of how to put this. To try to find, like, the specter of the network that Bo used. Like, to try to recreate, because, like, the first step for this is finding the hard drives. And so I think, like, the first step is to try to figure out, like, what computers and what systems was it likely that Bo stored data on.
Ooh, could I pitch helping with this as, like, our logistics person to be able to be like, yeah, this is all the equipment that Bo has previously signed out. When they signed it back in, like, have all those records.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, like dig through old like requisitions records. Yeah, and I don't have hands, so being able to grab things, having someone who can grab things would be great. That's 3d6. That's a 5.
You find a message that is very jokey and doesn't communicate in full sentences. Lots of shorthand. Rat King and Bo Blue's relationship was very familiar.
Great. Shit.
What you gather is that their dynamic is very similar to Verbal and Highway. They both had a life, and then they both enlisted, just on different sides. But when something came up that would help the other, they had offline channels.
And I have made a deep enemy of one of them.
Moving right along. What's your third downtime action, Tansy?
Yeah, I'm gonna paint my mech then. I wish Worm was like a physical being so that I could like paint with Worm.
Yeah, you and me both.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can like move shit around or like get people to do shit, but like I can't hold things. I could get an inter alia and like act as a scaffold.
Yeah, like instead of me using
Which is very fun.
actual scaffolding, yeah, let's do that. That sounds like fun. Should we just open on us already in the middle of doing this?
We open with you taking a step back and telling us how cool this looks because your clock is complete.
Did it? Okay, great.
No matter what you roll, you succeed.
So we've been working on the Kitty Hawk paint design, which before it was pretty much like just a white shell, like picture like MacBooks about 15 or so years ago. That kind of white plastic. Or like Eva from WALL-E, like that. The Kitty Hawk was originally like this sleek plastic shell. Picture Eva from WALL-E. And now the Kitty Hawk form has been spray painted like a bright magenta, kind of like gradient striping going down like the outer sides of the arms and like the legs, you know? And so it kind of like fades to like a lighter pink as you go down. There are some like little twinkly star designs like all over the cat face outlined in this magenta color, and then like rosy light pink on the inside, you know, and like a classy little gradient. The rest of the body is like a lilac purple, maybe somewhere in between like lavender and I don't know. It's so hard for me to describe colors. But yeah.
Your mech looks fantastic and not nondescript.
Yes, exactly.
You can add the quirk, Pimped Ride.
Oh, and also the cat face looks like it's smiling now.
Hey.
Yes.
With like twinkly anime girl eyes, you know?
Go ahead and add yourself a quirk.
Yay. Like something like awe and dazzle? I don't know, or like
The old razzle dazzle.
yeah, I like razzle dazzle. That works.
And I especially like that because quirks are supposed to be kind of double, like a negative thing, and the idea that you have a flashy mech is just like, come on.
Yep.
That's good.
And Helter, what's your third downtime action?
I think I'm also gonna do playbook training.
Okay.
I want to like mirror the scene with the verbals cut loose with Worm by like looking at Helter's desktop screen, which I think is just like covered in shit. Like it's not clean. I think Helter's the kind of person who just like key smashes to name their documents. So it's just like a bunch of like stuff that's like everywhere and not organized. And like,
hey, if no one knows what file is what, that's security.
Yeah. And so it's like clicking through files. It's like, which one is the one? Does it make sense for Helter to ask Worm where his notes are? Because I kind of like that. Okay. Yeah, Helter is like, Worm, where are my notes? Where are my notes on the plasma thing?
Where could they possibly be?
It's like, and like Worm is like on the screen and it's like cramped because there's just so many files just on the screen.
Yeah, I think she's like playing along. Like she doesn't have to, but she's like playing along and like squeezing through them.
Right. I'm gonna do playbook training, and I think this is like the thing that we talked about when we were doing our drive clocks. I think this is just like Helter actually taking notes on like, hey, what was it like to be plasma? And it's like, okay, it's like, I think Helter probably has like criteria of things to like write down of like, hey, here's what this is like. The note about like feeding wet coffee grounds to a snake goes in there somewhere. Gooey or whatever, you know. It's just like notes about, I'm not a scientist, I don't know enough about plasma to like have significant notes about it, but Helter does, so
go ahead and mark an experience. Last but not least, Verbal, what is your third downtime activity?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some resolve training. I would like, maybe this just like comes in off the back of the last scene, or it's like later when Helter is continuing to do notes. Verbal is coming in to have a debrief. If resolve training is the way we get better at talking to difficult people, Helter is the person I am going to go to get better at talking to difficult people.
Good news is there's a few of them here.
Yes. I think I know Helter well enough. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, is it okay if I bother you? Because the answer is always going to be no. So just like pulls up a seat and is like, okay, let's have a conversation about teamwork.
Helter says that, but does not look up or like stop doing notes. Yeah.
Is there any way I can convince you to turn and have this conversation with me? Or is it better for you to keep your hands busy so we can talk?
What's you said teamwork? Can you give me more details?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the fact that Tansy was left alone to fight everyone at the end of our last mission.
Yeah, it was plasma.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. Okay. Just because you don't like someone on the team, it doesn't mean you don't get to work with them. Listen, if you want to keep the meet cute alive, you're gonna have to make sure that her back is protected, okay?
Okay, I do think she has potential.
Thankfully, that all worked out great. There was only 3 mechs, and she dealt with them fucking spectacularly. I think we can all agree.
That's not what I meant.
Okay, well, you should learn to appreciate other people's actions. Is also a good key part of teamwork, is to recognize the labor that other people are putting in. Just FYI.
It's so preachy. I'm getting a headache.
Truly.
Just two awful people talking to each other.
Absolutely. If we can do another thing, which is that I have a move, which is spend my spark to immediately get a supply point. I want to do that and immediately take a second resolve training action. This is like, we see the personnel, we see that Verbal has completely moved around everyone else's schedules to cover whilst Verbal goes to have this conversation with Helter. And like, we just get the time skip. And if we could like escalate this to like a conversation about your beliefs around like leaving humanity behind, and it's like later in the day, like time has obviously passed, someone else is covering a Verbal shift, and we are now in like full scale like ideological conversations. Like, we're not even discussing teamwork anymore, we're talking about like the ethics of transhumanism, essentially.
Not everything can be fixed.
It's like you're not even listening to me. How, like, what I'm saying is you cannot leave people behind if you want to go forward. It doesn't work like that.
Sacrifices have to be made. If people don't want to come, I can't force them to.
But it sounds like you're dragging their corpse along behind you.
What's a corpse?
It's a dead body, Helter.
What's a body?
God, this is...
Why do we have to have those? Worm doesn't have one of those, and Worm is fine.
Well,
we can disagree on that one, truly.
Well, yeah, Helter thinks Worm is fine.
Do you think there's any difference between your attitude and the attitude of our command that says we're just cannon fodder to throw away to advance someone else? You're not leaving anything behind. You're just taking the worst parts of being human and saying, no, that's the good stuff. That's how we go forward.
Yeah, because that's the good stuff.
Oh my fucking God. And I think like we can close there, and it's just this argument continuing like late into the night of these two people, and they're like vehemently opposed like politics of how useful people are, and the idea that you are prescribing use to them.
Yeah.
This conversation will be heard again.
Yes. Oh yeah. This is our whole thing.
I think we see someone like walk by outside, like they're gonna like head into this room, and they hear us, and they're like, and sigh and like walk the other direction. Like, this is a conversation we've had a billion times.
Yeah, I was gonna say like sees another lab tech and is like, no, turn around. They're at it again. Like,
we finished our downtime actions, but we have material and personnel points left. Are we going to use any of those?
I feel like our options are we either save them or we have enough for everyone to have one.
we could also save until mechs are more beat up or something like that. Like if we, like I feel like
save it until it's more dire.
We're all in a pretty good shape, all things considered. But also if people want to do like long-term project stuff, because I want to see a goo grenade so badly, I don't even have words for it.
The goo grenade is banger. Yeah.
We could pick 2 things to spend and spend 1 of each on things. If we wanted to do the goo grenade and then pick something else. Or we could just spend 1 on the goo grenade and save the other ones.
Yeah, maybe do that.
Since it's personnel, is this like the gun dogs getting involved in like...
I have a few friends who are scientists, and one of them told me that there's like very frequent times where they'll just like be working on something and someone will walk into the lab and go like, what the fuck are you working on? That looks cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar in that like, I don't know if you have ever like listened to people talk about how it is to work at Valve. It's like a very similar thing where it's like people just work on what they want to work on. And I think there are, like, I want to be clear that I'm not saying, like, and that's how companies should work. I think there are a lot of problems with which Valve does, but, like, the concept...
Especially, we've heard tell of Valve.
Yeah, but if you've heard people talk about it, like, some of the ways that it works is that someone will come up with an idea, and then they'll, like, talk to people and get a team, and then people will just get excited about things and, like, work on that. And so, like, I was basically about to say the exact same thing that Ruby was going to say. where it's like, I'm working on the goo grenade and someone sees it and it's like, that's sick, let's work on the goo grenade. And then suddenly there's like, it starts with like one person talking to Helter about it, and then suddenly there's like, it like cuts and there's like 3 people and we're all talking about it, and then it cuts and there's like a little crowd around us as we're all working on the goo grenade, right?
And like, what are they gonna do? Fucking tell the gun dogs to stop researching a weapon?
Yeah.
There's an explosion, and people come to help, and suddenly everybody's working on this project.
Hey, this is a cool grenade you made.
Yeah. There's like explosion and Helter's like face turns to goo again as it like gets splattered with plasma, but he's okay because he can turn into goo. You can be more lax about lab safety when you turn into goo.
Take your pick of the litter, Helter. How does this scene work?
I think it's just like a montage of like all of that, right? Like it's just like a montage of everyone getting involved on like working on this project, because it's like way more fun than like it's like a fun issue, because it's like we're not trying to like actually hurt people, we're trying to like make the floor liquid, and so like it's like a something really different than what we normally work on, and so like people are excited about it.
I want to roll some dice.
Yeah, a 5. So that's another 2.
Another 2.
One more of those and we'll have a goo grenade.
Can we maybe, like, by the end of our campaign, like, have researched this to the point where this goo grenade it functions as, like, a portal grenade using the goo technology?
Oh,
Ooh,
God.
that'd be fun.
That's just, like, the ideal.
All right. I think that is the notes that I have for today. So thank you for joining us today for our first downtime session. And I hope you were all as amused and entertained as I was, because this crew of amazing, dynamic role players are crazy. They're playing some fun characters. Looking forward to see what happens in our next uptime in Beam Saber, Calazar.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited by ScienceBird. You can find them on Twitter as @Vetaro. That's VETARO. Sound balancing for this episode was done by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at CVBlight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find all of their work at devindecibel.com. If you'd like to support CalazCon, You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.